Hello, Mr. Hausler here. This is for Chapter 8, getting ready for that Chapter 8. And this skill is finding zeros, or which we call the roots or the x-intercepts. This method is completing the squares method. So if you know that a quadratic, like so, is not factorable, you don't feel like graphing, you don't have your graphing calculator or computer for the Desmos calculator. If you don't have that available, you can do it by completing the square. So here's how we complete the square. Again, I'm still going to look at this. A value is 1. B value is a -4. And the C value is a -8. That'll come handy later on. The first step to finding the zeros is, let's set this equal to 0. If I set it equal to 0, I'm going to have x squared minus 4x minus 8 is equal to 0. What I want to do now is move this -8 over to the other side. I don't want it over there. So I've now got x squared minus 4x equals 8. I'm just kind of leaving that blank because I'm actually complete that square. I'm going to make this expression over here into a perfect square. And the way that I do that is I fill this gap with half of b squared. So again, that's where I said this is going to be helpful. Half of b is a -2. Sorry. I'm going to show you guys the work. -4 divided by 2 squared. Half of b is that -2. I'm going to square it, and I get a 4. So I'm going to place that 4 over here. It's +4. And remember, anything in math, if everything's equal, if I did a +4 on the left, I have to do +4 on the right. So now that can be rewritten as x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 12. Now the whole reason we did this, we've now completed the square. This right here on the left side is now a perfect square, and I can rewrite it as a perfect square. That perfect square is x minus 2 squared. That -2 is coming from over here, half of b. Half of b is -2. That equals 12. So now I can start using inverse operation. My whole goal is to find where this x, okay, is an x-intercept. When are my zeros? So I'm going to go ahead and square root here, square root here. Okay, because that is the inverse of squaring it. If I do the inverse, that's just going to leave me with x minus 2 on the left. On the right, it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 12. I want x to stand alone so I can find that 0. So I'm going to have to add 2 on both sides. Adding 2 on both sides. I put the work up here. On the left side, I'm just going to be left with x. On the right side, I have that 2. But it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 12. Those are my two answers. When I have 2 and I add the square root of 12 onto it, and then when I have 2 and I subtract the square root of 12 onto it. That should give me my two roots, which would be my zeros and my x-intercepts.